Mother, man.
Great White, yeah, saw him in 84 with Bryan Adams at the Meadowlands. It was a kick-ass show.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem!
All right.
What the fuck's going on, fellas?
Hey, it's Tuesday, and we are throwing down a new Murder Metal Mayhem. We are at Horns High Studios for the Horns High Podcast Network doing a bonus episode tonight.
Bonus.
Bonus. Got Joey and Chris in here with me.
Yeah.
How you guys
Yo, what
doing?
up?
Hell yeah. Chris, you got, what do you got going on over there? Your Morbid Angel?
Oh, no, fucking horde demise.
Nice,
Fucking
nice.
kicking it with the goat girl shirt.
Hell yeah.
Girl
the
goat,
Morbid
whatever.
Angel hat or
Yeah.
beanie. Yeah,
Yep,
fuck yeah. Joey, what about you, man?
I got the
Great White?
No, I didn't have the Great White. I got the syphilectomy long sleeve though.
Nice.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
And then I like your shirt. The third of the three you got from Portland.
Portland
Yeah.
Distro, yeah, this clockwork orange
Yeah,
shirt.
that
I
one's
love
sick.
it, man,
Yeah,
with
I
the
love
the lead character's eyes pulled open when he's forced to watch all the violence. It's pretty sick. Definitely got my attention. That and that Faces of Death shirt, just so
Shit, yeah,
badass. My Death, Death shirt that I got was awesome too.
Lose
So, yeah,
your,
it was
lose
kinda
your train
cool.
of thought there for a second?
A little bit. I got my mind's racing. We got a lot going on here. We are doing a bonus episode tonight on a single topic,
Yes.
and we do those now and then. And Joey, you picked this one tonight.
Yeah. I always thought this was a fucking
Yeah.
crazy ass story.
Right.
It was one that happened, it's not that long ago. And so one that I actively saw in the news and was able to follow a little bit. And,
Yeah.
it's glam metal, but it's fucking a little bit of metal. Or
Yeah, well, I
glam
was
rock.
going to say it's a
Yeah.
weird true crime and metal story in
Right,
one.
right, yeah.
Like you said, glam metal, definitely not my thing or any of ours, but that's cool.
Yeah, and it's also a case that I think all of us had, the initial idea of what happened.
Oh,
but once
yeah.
you start looking more into it,
There's a lot more
yeah.
into this. I learned an awful lot. But we're talking about the Station Nightclub Fire in Rhode Island where Great White was performing and some pyro went off in a bad way. 100
terrible.
people, man. That was brutal, Chris. I mean, that's a lot of people dying at a show. And another 230 were injured. And since there was little more than 400 people there, very few made it out of that thing unharmed. So it's an absolutely terrible story, but very interesting because we've all been to club shows.
Right.
Shit, I played for years. And, Joey, you've been playing for years. And Chris, you've been a huge
I've been going to
local
shows.
supporter of metal. And, we've all been in this situation. And it's scary, man. I mean, this could have happened really anywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Been in
fucked
some
up.
pretty packed spots before, dude.
Right.
Right.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, if something like this happened at some shows I'd been to, that I could see this happening. So that's why this is especially fucked up to me. And this is a different format than our usual episodes. We typically divide the show up into murder, metal, and mayhem, but we're only talking about one subject. So we're not going to have a metal or mayhem segment. It's just this topic. So no killer cage match, no karaoke, but you know what? Heartness or what do they say? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. So you're going to miss a good killer cage match tonight. So next week we're going to get crazy.
It would be fucking nuts.
Right. Now, Joey, what made you decide to do this one for the bonus episode?
Just being interested in the subject. I don't know if it had come up like somewhat recently, but we were talking about that, and then the fact I like since we only do one subject during our bonus episodes, it's cool whenever we could tie in like either of the other components of the show. So the fact that it is a band, I mean, people were throwing the horns in the
Yeah, they were.
in the bar, before it happened. I mean. So a little bit of a tie-in.
Yeah, I think it's a really good story, and like you said, Joey, kind of like peeling an onion, man. Once you start really digging into it, there's some interesting aspects to this I'd never thought of. Chris, it's amazing to think it's been almost 20 years since this happened, which was February 2003.
Dude, yeah, 03.
It's almost the anniversary, like to the day.
Yeah,
when this comes
it
out.
is. That's
Almost,
kind of
yeah.
ironic. I thought 19 years here coming up on 20. So
Yeah, on February
pretty fucked up.
20th.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's fucking. I knew it happened a while ago, but when I started looking and said
Yeah.
2003, though, I was like, what the?
I know.
fuck?
Yeah, it doesn't
was
seem
that
like it
long
was
ago,
that
'cause
long.
I remember when like it happened.
Oh,
and shit,
yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
just definitely didn't seem like it was 20 years ago.
No, and I was in low 12 at the time. We were playing as a 3-piece at that time, and I remember how jumpy the club owners were about what are you going to do on stage?
Right.
Anybody
Stage
got
show
any
you got,
pyro?
yeah.
Like making sure like people weren't plugging too many things into one outlet, like which they should be, keeping it safe for
absolutely.
the people that are there paying to see the show as well as the band or bands. But yeah, I mean, we never used any pyro on stage. I mean, I threw tampons, but that was definitely not pyro. Even when I
smoked
shot
weed
him with
on
my
stage.
rubber band gun.
Right.
That wasn't really pyro, but
Yeah, that's
fire
true.
on the
Hey, Pat O'Brien said he thought it was cool as hell when I saw him at the
See?
club in Cincinnati. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you're the guy that throws the tampons, right? That was really cool. Tim was like completely flabbergasted, like, oh my God, So anyway, it was on my mind, thinking about when this happened and what it was like playing back then. And that story I had recently told about that fire coming out of that speaker cabinet in Burbank, Illinois.
Yeah.
Where we played right after this happened, and that freaked me out because I'm like, oh my God. And I knew
Yeah.
we didn't do it, but it was still crazy to see flames shooting out the main on the right side, on Les's side. It was crazy. And we just kept playing. The sound guy just like did the motion of keep going, and we're like, all right, fuck it. And then after it was over, he's like, dude, you guys acted literally like nothing was happening. He said, flames. But I'm so pissed nobody got a good picture of it,
Right.
or video would have been
Yeah.
really good. So that was just as metal as it gets, They wound up unhooking that speaker, pushing it to the side, plugging the old one in that was still there because they were waiting to sell them. And so they happened to just still be in the building. So it was like the road crew, the sound guy got the new main plugged in and just kept playing like nothing happened. So
Fucking crazy.
yeah, it was cool. Now, most of our audience, I'm sure, remembers when this happened, depending, of course, on how old you are.
Right.
I'm not sure, how many of our listeners are Great White fans.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot.
Right.
Or maybe they were at this time. Who knows? I remember seeing them open for some of the bigger bands. I think Maiden, Priest, some of the bigger
Right.
shows I went to.
They opened up, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I first heard them. And I remember I bought, I think, the first album on cassette. And it was okay. It was just like, it was before I started getting into the more underground stuff.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Ozzy, Maiden, Priest,
Right.
stuff like that, Dio. And then, Great White was okay. It wasn't really my thing. And then I kept getting heavier and into the more Dark Slayer and Metallica in the
It's
early
like, I don't
days.
want to listen to that.
And then it went all, down, spiraling down into even more fucked up shit. But the fact that there was a terrible fire that started on the stage and a lot of people died, I think makes this really interesting. Even one of the band members perished in that fire. So
Right.
they were touring as Jack Russell's Great White at the time. So it was one of those
It's copyright.
name copyright
Yeah.
deals. We've heard that so many times in music. Now, Joey, this is a show in a small venue in West Warwick, Rhode Island. Capacity just barely over 400.
Yeah, and which is, as we'll talk about, is actually a stretch and some bullshit because the capacity should have been more around 300 for this place. Plus, there were more people than what they had capacity.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a big place. Great White, for what they were at one time, they were on top of the music world for like 20 seconds,
Right.
So they had, played big things and all that. And yep, they were down to playing some gigs like this.
Small clubs, you know, it happens.
One of the authors, when he was talking on that fucking authors expo or whatever, he was like, "Yeah, it was an over the hill band, you know, playing in a shoddy club." Yeah, but yeah,
it happens.
Yeah,
you know, it happens. They were still jamming, but like you said,
I mean, when it happened, I mean, there were. I remember. When was this? 2000, right?
2003.
Yeah, I was locked up when this happened in prison, so I remember, you know, from there when it happened. But there were people that were like, "Damn, that's still a band," or you know what I'm saying, that were surprised to even hear the name come back up.
Right.
So yeah, they were obviously past their prime at that point.
And I wondered, with the name being Great White, I can't believe you're not a fan, Joey. You know, the shark guy.
I mean, yeah, cool name, but yeah. I mean, you know, I'm doing a podcast about them right now, so they're significant in some way.
That's right.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, a very tragic way.
Yeah, in a bad way.
Yeah.
Now, I heard on the documentary that I watched that Jack Russell, the singer, was handing out free tickets to the event somewhere locally, and one of the guys that got the ticket at the show perished in the fire. So that's fucked up. He didn't even at the time realize that it was Jack Russell, I guess, is what his sister said. So that's kind of sad. Now, Chris, if you watch the docs about this, you know, people blame that tour manager, Daniel Bekele, definitely, you know, he
lit it
at
off,
the center of this thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, he lit it off. And even though the venue says they never asked permission, they said they did.
Right.
But the band says, they said they never asked permission or whatever, and they didn't give them permission. But then when they went back to other venues, other club owners were saying the same shit. Like, straight up told them, no, you can't, but they fucking did it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, there was one that the Stone Pony in New Jersey that was really pissed and said, I was at the bar the night they played here just before this, and I couldn't believe they were lighting that shit off in my club. You know, it's not big enough for that kind of stuff, you know, so... Definitely crazy. And the other issue too, Chris, was, you know, that not only did they not supposedly have permission, but even if they did, they were supposed to go to the local fire department and get a permit.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that. So that you know, there's a lot of issues here with this.
There's tons, because it even goes back to the people who sold the pyrotechnics in the first place.
Right.
Was a place down south, and you're supposed to be a pyrotechnician to be able to obtain these things.
Right.
And they just bypassed and fucking wrote some other pyrotechs numbers on the bill of orders.
Oh, wow.
So that's the reason why this fucking tour manager, who's not a pyrotechnician.
He's from Florida, too. That
right.
guy. Yeah.
So he just, I mean, that's how he ended up getting these pyrotechnics.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, fucking weird.
Wow. So, yeah, these things set off fucking 15-foot spray of fucking sparkles.
And that's the thing,
for
too.
15 seconds in a 12-foot ceiling.
They're called
venue.
15 by 15s for a reason. Like,
right.
It's in the name. Like, that's what they do. So
15
you
feet
walk
for
into a
15
place
seconds.
and you stand up on stage, you're like, holy fuck, this isn't 15 feet at all.
Right.
Why would you even think?
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I
Yeah.
mean, that to me would be the first thing I would be looking
like,
at
oh,
is
we
how
ain't
high
doing
is the
pyros
ceiling.
tonight.
And I'm just saying, I
And
mean,
that foam, too.
I don't know about pyrotechnics that much or whatever, but I would still think that even if it was like bigger and, 15, 16 foot, wouldn't you still want to make sure it's okay? Because couldn't you still like singe their shit or fuck it up a little bit? Like, I don't know. It just seems like
it seems very
total
dangerous.
disregard. Yeah.
Right. Very dangerous. So the band opens up with the song Desert Moon, which was a big hit for them in 1991 on Billboard, apparently. It's only a few seconds into the song when the pyro they used, which is called gerbs, started shooting out this spray, as we said, 15 feet for 15 seconds. When I saw the video, to me it looked like way too much for such a small space.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I mean, over the top. There was like 4 of them, I think, out there on the stage. And this is, I mean, I played some small places. This stage didn't look very roomy.
Right.
So
No.
to me, I'd be worried about my gear, too, lighting that shit up on fire. It just seems to be a really dumb thing to do. One of the docs that I saw, a guy had a joint for his girlfriend, and asked a buddy of his to take her outside to smoke it.
He didn't go outside.
He didn't go outside, and he didn't make it, which is fucked up. But I did see the guy kept the roach from the joint.
He still got the roach from that joint in the bag.
Yeah, because it saved his life. And he's got it in a frame, which is pretty crazy.
With the fucking article and shit.
Yeah, so really, you know, stories like that just give me a chill. Like, it's so weird. You know, it's like scripted almost. Now, Chris, the big issue here was was that the spray foam the club had on the walls and the ceiling. What was the deal with that, man?
Well, they fucking when they bought the club, they was already told they're going to get complaints from neighbors.
Right. Because it used to be a restaurant.
Yeah, because of noise and shit. So they fucking decided, like one of the neighbors, I can't remember his name, but mentioned putting foam up on the wall, soundproof foam on the walls and shit. So they went with it. Well, this neighbor just happened to be the person that sold him the foam, which was not fire retardant like it was supposed to be. Right. So that's kind of fucked up. It was like just packing foam and not fire retardant sound foam. So that shit burned. I mean, if you've ever burned styrofoam basically before in your life, you know what the fuck happened.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
but that
becomes a huge issue in this story.
Yeah.
Huge.
And they thought that they were killing two birds with one stone.
Right.
Because they were doing something to soundproof the place at the same time appeasing this dude who was going to be potentially a problem of calling the cops or making noise complaints against you.
Right.
So they're like, oh, this is a win-win situation.
They even got fucking congratulations and shit at board meeting, city.
Yeah, that they were being a good business for protecting the or, you know, soundproofing the place. I'm also wondering who actually sprayed this shit on. Was that a contractor or did they do it themselves? Because how did they not know that this wasn't the right stuff?
Installed it,
If you do that for a living, wouldn't you say, you know, this stuff is very flammable? You would think I would be telling the customer, like, are you sure you want me to do this? I don't know if this is the right product.
And year after
That's
year.
what I don't understand.
Was it spray or what? Because it said packing foam. I thought it was just like,
I thought it was spray applied.
And they just probably just put it on themselves.
And it had two kinds.
Did it?
Because I had the polyurethane
two layers. There's
foam
two
and
layers
then
of it.
The PE foam, whatever that was.
Right.
And that's the stuff. The polyurethane foam, that's like the eggshell shit. And that by itself would have just went up and then been gone like sheer paper, like tissue paper.
Right.
But because the other stuff underneath it, that turned into a glycerine, basically. And that's what do they call it? The flashbang or the flashover.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, that's some fucked up shit. That,
it is.
And then you got the fire inspector coming in.
Oh my God, we're going to get into all that.
Yeah, they passed them on the.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing is just like, wow.
It is. The salesman, as you said, Chris, lived next door to the club. He actually sent a letter to the owners after the fire, explaining how terrible that company was that he worked for. So apparently, he didn't work for him anymore. And that they did lots of shady stuff like that. And, you know, you guys know my day job. I deal with asbestos.
Right.
And they use that stuff, you know, to spray on for fireproofing because it doesn't burn. So it makes no sense to me why anybody that knows anything sprayed this stuff on unless, as you mentioned, Chris, maybe it wasn't and it was just that they stapled it on or however they did or glued it. I'm not sure how it was applied. I'm just wondering if it was spray applied, why didn't the installer say this is not the right stuff? This is very flammable. I don't think this is a good idea.
You're essentially turning your building into an oven.
Exactly. So very, very fucked up. You know, back when smoking was allowed in a venue, I mean, I would have been really concerned about that. Now, the question is, you know, should the people that sprayed it knew whether it was acoustical or this packing stuff? The fire inspector, as you brought up, he was never held responsible, and he inspected the place 2 or 3 weeks before the fire and never raised a question about the foam.
And they said there were spots, specifically one that ended up catching, but where the foam was like hanging down in spots. Like it wasn't even fucking attached correctly. So that should have been like a red flag right there.
Yeah, and I know they had it on the back door behind the stage, and that was a huge issue, which is why a lot of the people died because they couldn't get out that door.
You know, and I don't know, you might have brought this up later, but anyway, one of the other things too is that they had that fucking double door out the back where the bands were loading in.
Right.
And this goes back to the fire inspector, is he told them 3 years in a row, because one swung in and one swung out, which is, you can't have that.
Right.
And he docked them on that 3 years in a row. Then they would have somebody, one of the workers, pull that door off each time, bring them back. Okay, now you pass. They remove the door.
Wow.
And then as soon as they were gone, they put the
back.
motherfucker back on. But 3 years you're getting docked for that.
That's
you would think
up.
that the inspectors would be like, okay, we keep seeing this. You know?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I also saw that he should have required them to, the fire inspector should have required the owners to prove that it was fire retardant.
Documentation.
Or do a field test where you literally cut a piece out, go out in the parking lot, light it on fire, and see what happens.
Yeah.
He obviously did not do that. So
they do that like with curtains and everything.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Fire curtains. Yeah. I mean, I deal with it with asbestos. So I know that very, very common, especially years ago. Now, Joey, they use these gerbs, again, these 15 by 15s at 45-degree angles on each side and then 2 in the middle going straight up.
Yeah, so
what the fuck?
They were like basically set behind the drums and shit, I guess. And like you said, 2 straight in the air, 2 off to the sides. And I mean, there's a fucking video. This journalist fucking catches this whole thing.
Yeah.
You can watch this on
the ironic part
on
about
YouTube.
that is the fucking why they were there recording.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But anyway, you can see from his video that the 2 initial spots that caught and kept burning, one was from a 45 and one was from one of those straight up. So both of those were terrible ideas.
Right.
I think the one on the 45, and that was near where the band door was, and that's what they were saying. I think that's where that foam was hanging over there too. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
fucking
just crazy.
Scary to watch that though.
It is.
To imagine to be in there and you see that and like
right, you're thinking, is this part of the show?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the next minute and a half is the most insane shit of all time.
Yeah. So the foam, as you guys said, consisted of 2 layers. The bottom layer is this polyethylene foam, and on the top was the highly flammable urethane foam. So the top layers catching fire very quickly. That bottom layer lets off this horrible, dense black smoke that was absolutely lethal. In 90 seconds, if you're in that building with that smoke, you're going to die. So,
dude,
and the first 30 seconds, they all stood there because they thought it was part of the show.
Real time too. You see how fast that shit starts rolling out.
Oh,
the
it's
windows.
crazy.
Like, that video is real time.
It is. That video is used nowadays for fire investigation because it's one of the rare instances where you literally have a video of it catching fire and then the aftermath of people running out of there. It's fucked up. This smoke contains carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide gas, so that's definitely bad. Taking only 2 or 3 breaths of this could cause a person to become unconscious and eventually die if they're not taken out of there right away.
And they said a lot of the people, when they pulled them out of the carnage later on, there were a ton of them that didn't even look that bad. But, you know,
because
they
died from breathing,
they
not
died
so
from
much,
breathing.
Yeah. So, you know, since they stood there for about the first 30 seconds, when the fire alarm started to go off, that gave them 60 seconds to get more than 400 people out of that small place. So it was bedlam in there.
Yeah, that journalist recording, though, he like instantly realized and started walking out.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't
got
hear
criticized
him, the fact
for
you don't
that.
hear him yelling, though, hey, fucking, you can hear the crowd or whatever, but he's right there by the fucking camera where the microphone's at. You'd think if he yelled or anything, you would have heard him. He didn't say shit. He just backed out and recorded.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fucking eerie. Now, if you watch the video and some of the reenactments, the smoke was billowing from the stage. And what's even more fucked up is the venue has 4 doors here.
Right.
The backstage door was covered in the foam. It got to 1,400 degrees within 2 minutes. So there's no fucking way you could go out that door. Plus, it opened, as you said, Joey, inside out, which is all fucked up. They had that double door thing. You mentioned that the door in the kitchen was originally lit up
as an exit.
And the fire marshal made him
yeah.
take it down so people weren't walking through the kitchen
To go
you know,
in.
for
I mean,
food.
I get that. But still.
But my God, there were people that died in that kitchen that had no idea, because once that black smoke started billowing, people thought the power went out.
Right.
The power did not go out then.
Right.
It was just so black with the smoke.
Yeah, you couldn't see
You couldn't see a fucking thing. I mean, how scary would that be?
Yeah.
Is everybody screaming and you can't see anything and people are running into each other? Oh my God. I mean, that just had to be fucked up. So yeah, a lot of bad things, like kind of like the perfect storm just kind of brewing with this one.
Right.
And those people that were in there, like some of the survivors, they fucking say that like the ceiling falling and all that shit, it was like black rain. That's what they call it. Fucking scary, like just burning black. It's like fucking getting hit by Predator,
right?
Or Alien, you know.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. And there was also a door behind the bar, but I'm not sure if that, because I had heard something that one of the doors or more than one of the doors was chained shut.
I didn't see,
but I didn't see that in any of the docs I watched.
Think
that may have been a rumor. But I don't know what the deal was with that door behind the bar,
right?
Because I don't think that many people got out of that exit.
Yeah,
Most of them ran to the front because that's the way they came in, and that's human nature.
Yeah, you're just going to go back. Okay, that's the way I got here. That's the way I got to get out.
Exactly. So the other doors were unfortunately not used as much as they should have. They might have had a chance.
There was a couple accounts, too, where motherfuckers recognized the fact that shit was going wrong, acted quick, and went to what was the band door, and the bouncers were like, no, you can't come through here.
Right.
You have to go through the other door.
Yeah, that's fucked
And they're
up.
like, it's fucking on fire. And he was like, nope, you can't do it. And fucking, I mean, if they had just done that, it would have fucking got some people out quicker, and it would have decongested, you know, what ended up happening in the front.
Right.
It's also crazy, too, because if you look at the layout of how the fucking club was, if you break it into quarters, I guess, the fucking top left quarter was where I think the dartboards were and the pool tables and all that shit.
The office,
yeah. And the office and the bathrooms were off there. And that was the only spot that didn't have an outlet to get out. Every other spot, all those other door openings were around the other two sides, basically. So all the people, as you're trying to get away from the fire that's burning at the stage on one end, instinctively you're pushing back that way.
Right.
But you're pushing back into no hope whatsoever.
Right.
But you don't know.
Into a wall.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. Now, Chris, I see, you know, that with these other doors in the venue not, you know, opening or not being recognized, I mean, you would think that when a fire would break out, the alarm's going off, it doesn't seem like there was any order whatsoever, but I don't know what would have helped if it's black smoke and you can't see anything.
Seriously, there would be no order. It's going to be utter chaos no matter what. Right. Everybody says, like, in situations like that, stay calm and do what you got. But no, your instinct is to fucking, what the fuck? I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, especially when they said it got up to 1,400 degrees
like
inside that bar in
seconds,
90 seconds. So imagine that.
Like I said,
you're cooking.
Oven. And they didn't have a sprinkler system either, because like there's an older fucking establishment, so they didn't have to.
They were grandfathered in. However, what I read was that they shouldn't have been grandfathered in because the use of the building went from a restaurant to a club.
Yeah,
and that would negate the grandfathering. That's why newer building or old buildings that are renovated have to meet ADA requirements, and it could be like crazy expensive to take an old 1920s big building
and get it up to code to where you
and now have to do ramps and wider doors. I mean, it's a huge thing. So that's why a lot of them don't renovate it for that reason. So this was renovated and changed. And from what I saw, they should not have been grandfathered in, but they were incorrectly allowed to to operate that building without having sprinklers. But keep in mind, they didn't own the building. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
They were just the owners of the club, but they didn't own the club.
But still, the club was repurposed beyond what it was initially intended for.
Exactly.
The other thing, I alluded to earlier, but these brothers didn't have this club for that long when this happened.
No.
The owner before them, he, whenever he was trying to sell it, he brought the fire marshal in and he was talking to him, And when you're selling a business place like that, the more occupancy you have, the higher the price. So he was like, how can we get away with this? And I'm not going to say the fire marshal told him to do this, but it was something where they were involved, though. But they were like, oh, if you remove all this furniture, that allows for standing room where you can pack in this many more people. So when he sold these brothers, or however they obtained it, this place, it was said to be over 400 capacity. So it sucks for them because really that place never should have been. Plus they had it over occupancy.
Yeah, it was like 460 something,
right.
I think.
So it was just like you said, perfect storm basically.
Yeah, I mean, but
that also goes more. I'll keep bringing up the fire marshal.
No, I think the fire marshal's the one that really should have gone down here. To be honest with you, I mean, yeah.
There's no law against not doing your job.
Right.
That's true.
Only 20 seconds into first song.
I'm just going to say real fast, that's a for real thing because they had some kind of laws set up where if you were part of the public official or whatever not, you can't be liable for certain crimes against you.
Right.
So that's for real. Like the fire inspector should have got more, but
right. Yeah, he couldn't be sued or criminally responsible for something he didn't do. So only 20 seconds into that first song, the band stops. Jack Russell says, "Wow, that's not good."
Yeah, dude. Like just straight up looks at it. Wow, that's not good. Like just like that.
Yeah, and so in under a minute, the band flees the stage. They go out that west exit door, as we've been talking about, the one covered in foam. So after they leave, nobody else can really get out of there because it's too hot. Yeah. I heard on a podcast that the inside of the club, as I mentioned, got the 1400, and you said, Joey, the ceiling dripping. I mean, absolute horror show with that smoke and making everything so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I cannot imagine that, and people would be in absolute terror.
Goddamn, dude.
Breaking windows, trying to get out of there. I saw one bouncer made 9 trips inside in 90 seconds and saved a shitload of people, but then died in there himself. So,
like two of the accounts, I can't remember the one guy who was super burned. He was the first guy to have a successful hand transplant.
Oh yeah,
but like both him and this other girl, their accounts were so scary because they're talking about how fucking dark it is, and you fucking hit the floor, and how they both crawled to a wall and basically felt their way along until they found some way to get out. He found a door. She found the window had been broke out by that point.
Oh, wow.
But that's the only way they could, like, you just have to put your instincts and calm yourself enough to figure out,
how do I get out of here?
It's fucking crazy as shit.
Yeah, it really is. Now, Joey, did you see that the guitar player, Ty Longley, he went back in to get his guitars and he didn't make it out.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, he perished in the fire, which sucked. I mean, to be honest, he was a really good guitarist,
Yeah.
Him, and then, like, they had 2 other tragedies from their camp because 2 people that had traveled from California to see them at that show.
Oh, wow.
I think, or they were there and they were from California, something.
Okay.
But they were friends who were there for the show, and they ended up dying in it too.
Oh my God.
But the guitarist, he went back in. It was like, man, fucking not worth it.
Horrible.
You were standing right there, like you saw how fucking fast it was going.
Yeah.
But you know how it is. You think, oh, I could get it real quick.
Yeah.
Just take me a second.
You don't got a second.
No. Now the owners of the club were Michael and Jeffrey Dedarian. Jeffrey was actually a news reporter from Boston. He moved to Providence took a smaller job so he could spend more time with his family. And him and his brother bought this business kind of hoping it would be an extra income and eventually maybe they could do that, retire, and just live off of that. But apparently they weren't making a whole lot of money.
The bar game isn't easy, dude.
No, it's not.
I've seen bars open and close my whole life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times.
Somebody tries a different bar in the same fucking location as the first 3 that just closed. Like, the bar game ain't easy, man.
No, it definitely is not.
I figured you meant you were waiting outside the bar before they opened and you were always there until after they closed.
That's good. Now, Jeffrey was there that night and escaped out the front door right away. So the one brother that was there got out quick. They took a shit ton, a lot of shit from people, these two. And there's definitely plenty of blame to go around here. I mean, Joey, you've been talking about that fire inspector. I agree with you.
Yeah, there's a
that
lot.
Fucking Daniel Bachelli, the fucking stage, the tour manager,
right.
dumb.
Big time.
Lots of issues here. But, these brothers lawyered up, and they were told not to speak out. And the prosecutor, though, seemed bent on pinning this on them and that roadie, Daniel Bachelli.
Right. Who they were the people that did get the most.
Yeah.
Out
really
of
the only ones that did.
Basically.
I think they all obviously played a role here. But that tour manager, he's only 26. He's from Florida. He had been on other shows on the tour. They had been having issues with pyro, not getting permission, club owners getting pissed off, not pulling the permits.
Not trying to put words in people's mouths, but I'm sure that the band Great White themselves were like, yeah, fuck it. Every time they let you do that, do that.
Right.
And I mean, they were saying even after that, that's basically the only time they did that in their show.
Right.
Was it at the very
right
beginning?
At the beginning.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have done it again. So it's like, man, how that shit was so not worth it. And you had to find out in the worst possible way, unfortunately, but fuck.
Yeah, terrible. And then, again, pointing fingers at different people here. Jack Russell, he's the main guy. It's called Jack Russell's Great White.
Right.
So he's the main dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of people question why he didn't get indicted and charged in this as well. So very, very interesting. Now, that law you mentioned in Rhode Island that did not allow them to prosecute the fire inspector for not bringing this up is fucking absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Passing him on inspections. I saw somewhere where it didn't even say in his report that they had foam on the walls, which
right.
They were like, that should have been like a huge thing. Is what
factor,
is that stuff? And is it, fire retardant or not,
right.
So, they did put it up. And as you said, Chris, they were rewarded or commendated in a
city council
city hall
for doing what they did.
Thanks for soundproofing the place.
Right, right.
So pretty fucked up. But then I saw that the recordings of that
all disappeared. But there's so many people that are like, no, I was at that meeting. Fucking
right. So that's interesting though that those disappear. So they probably didn't get dragged into a lawsuit.
But you know what's crazy about that is fucking 99% of those people in there, including these brothers and whatever not. Honestly, they probably don't know the danger. It wasn't like they maliciously put it up in their
No, not at all.
They were just completely ignorant of what could happen.
Right.
And to them, they're like, oh, this is a great idea. That's like, I'd be in recording studios or fucking band rooms whenever I was growing up being in bands, and you collect eggshell cartons and shit like that. And you put them up and shit. But honestly, if something were to, that's the fucking, that's like a
motherfucking mattresses and carpet
and
shit.
Right.
Yeah, like
well, when low 12, we practiced in the V12 concussion chamber, was nothing but carpet, ceiling tile, ceiling tile, like a foot thick.
Right.
Yeah, that's like shit.
Yeah, so very, very interesting. Another thing to mention is that when the fire department showed up, they fucked up and parked on the hoses. So once they turned the water on, the hoses didn't work until they had to move the fire trucks.
How the fuck you park on the hose?
I don't know. You would think that's like fire 101, man. Like, so like just a series of blunders here, But Chris, it does seem that the owners are definitely a convenient scapegoat here. But that letter they got that the foam company was not on the up and up and sold them the wrong stuff was not allowed to be shown to the grand jury. What's up with that?
I don't know. I didn't even understand what that was about. Like, why wouldn't that be?
I don't know either.
Evidence
the prosecutor said you don't need to see it, but here it is. This guy writes them a letter and says, I worked for the company and I'm sorry. Like, they did some shitty things.
Yeah.
And you got the wrong stuff. Like, they didn't sell you
the right fucking foam.
The acoustic fire retardant foam that you ordered. they
sold
sent you packing
foam.
fucking foam.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It don't make sense why that shouldn't be part.
No.
That's definitely evidence for one side or the other.
Yeah,
Like,
so it seems like they just really wanted to go after these two. And Joey, the whole issue with them being grandfathered in is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Because had they had the sprinklers in there, I don't know if you guys watched any of the simulations I saw on YouTube of with the fires or with the sprinklers and without. Oh my God. I mean, that fire would have stopped on the stage. It would have been done.
Right. Yeah, I fucking learned shit watching fucking research for this. The sprinkler shit.
Yeah.
There was a lot I didn't understand about that, and how they were showing it, you know, was kind of cool. But one of the other things is they were showing whenever they bust open, not only do they fucking, you know, obviously fucking soak the area around it to make it harder to catch.
Right.
But they are what fucking prevent there from being the fucking flashover.
Because it keeps the building, because it keeps
the fucking cool in the top area.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that makes a lot of sense, but it's not something I ever fucking knew before.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot to sprinkler systems that a little more than people would think.
And it just seems like, holy fuck, when you're dealing with that many people's lives and you got a business, and if you want to protect your business, period,
you would
not
want
from
that.
obviously you don't think this tragedy is going to happen, but even a fucking fire, just a normal one that burns part of your kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
For insurance reasons, they're going to be like, oh, why didn't you have fucking sprinklers? You know.
Right.
But
exactly.
Of course, they were in it with the fucking fire marshals, so who knows?
It sounds like it. So December 9th of 2003, 10 months after the tragedy, the club owners, Jeffrey and Michael Derderian, and the tour manager, Daniel Bilecki, were charged with 200 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 for each of the 100 deaths. And they were not able to charge them for anybody that was injured due to these laws, apparently, in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island has weird fucking laws.
I guess. But that would, of course, be part of the civil suit later. The brothers pled not guilty to the charges, but Bilecki, or Bekele, I think that's how you say it, pled guilty. The brothers knew the public was obviously outraged, and there's no way they're going to get an impartial jury.
No.
I saw that they did mock trials of this with impartial jurors, and they were found not guilty, both mock trials. So that's interesting. Again, going back to that letter and how this company deceived them and gave them the wrong stuff,
right.
That was not available in the original grand jury. But they wanted to prove the issue with the foam was not their fault, and they decided to take a plea bargain to avoid 30 plus years in prison. Definitely fucked up. They were fined $1 million for not having workman's comp insurance, which is pretty stupid, since 4 of the employees died in the fire. So not good. Chris, the trial for Daniel Bilecki or Bekele was scheduled for May of 2006, but against his lawyer's advice, he takes that plea bargain, man.
I don't know. I guess it's the best thing to do. I think it's kind of weird that he just went ahead and pled guilty because, like,
yeah.
I mean, even though he did set the stupid fucking pyros off, there's so much other things going on that, like,
yeah,
you just pretty much putting everything on your shoulders right now.
He seemed genuinely like tore up over this.
Right.
Like he was really fucked up about it, you know. Who wouldn't be though? I mean, my God, 100 people
and maybe
died.
that's the way he felt was, man, I'm a piece of shit for this, so I fucking deserve to do some time.
Yeah, that's kind of what
I don't
want
to go back through it during a trial.
Right.
You have to bring it back up, and then you get
Over and
cross-examined
over again,
and fucking just tore apart.
Right.
So, you know, if you already feel like you're guilty, and you get a plea, but fuck it, do the time.
Yeah.
And then you ain't got to relive it.
Right. That's a good point. So Joey Bekele is sentenced to 15 years, but only serves 4, and the 11 years are suspended sentence. What does that mean with the suspended sentence thing?
If you get suspended, so he gets 15, he does 4. Your 11 are suspended, so that means the whole time that you're out, basically you're on parole. If you get in trouble any time during that,
you go back.
You go back, and then you end up doing that whole
the 11?
time.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yep.
Interesting. What do you think about that sentence, Joey? Chris, what do you guys think?
I mean, with him, Like I said, I feel like he knew that he was fucking kind of bogus for that. He got the time.
Right.
I don't think it was too much time because I feel like fault was split between multiple entities here. So I think in his case, he
got off. I think he got off pretty decent. Like
especially only doing 4.
Only doing 4, getting 11 years suspended. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, of course, the reactions to this sentence were very mixed. He's eligible for parole in 2007 when many of the victims' families were supporting his release, but of course some were not. So you're kind of divided there. Those who supported him said he was the only one who stood up and admitted he was wrong and legitimately showed remorse, which I would agree to that. He gets paroled in 2008 and lives in Florida with his wife and 2 kids. Many people were outraged that Jack Russell never really apologized to the victims' families, and I could see why they would be pissed. I mean, keep in mind, though, with civil lawsuits going on, I saw an interview with Jack Russell, and he said, our attorneys told us not to admit to anything because if we did, then we would be held responsible. So I couldn't say anything.
And to be honest, the whole thing, I never ever saw him act as a bogus motherfucker, or his demeanor was never fucking
like not giving a shit.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. I think it's like you said, he was just so fucking stuck under legal obligations to do things the way that they needed him to. But I don't think that he fucking was careless about it and didn't care about the people that I think he was super affected by it. Personally.
Yeah, from what interviews I saw with him, it did seem that way. And I know I deal with attorneys and stuff doing what I do for a living. And I could totally see them telling him, don't you dare admit any fault here because then we're going to be on the hook.
Then you're already liable for something. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So after Bekele's trial, the brothers were supposed to go through separate trials themselves in 2006, but they instead pled no contest, and they also take a plea bargain. But this was such a weird,
crazy,
super weird
way to punish them because they let them decide which one of them was going to go to prison
and let the other one
for
stay
a 15-year sentence.
Michael, who wasn't even in the state when the fire happened,
right?
They're like, for whatever reason, they're like, oh, you could do the time in jail better.
Well, Jeffrey had the young kids.
Yeah.
So Michael was like, you got young kids. My kids are grown up. So
it's still weird how fucking they were allowed them to
pick who goes to prison.
That. Okay, you guys, one of you's going to go to prison for a long time.
You're both guilty, but
that's so fucked.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. And I heard that they went to a Dunkin' Donuts with their wives.
Yeah, so the kids went around and shit. Yeah,
and came up with it. So random. So this pissed the people off in a huge way because Jeffrey was the one that was fucking there, and he winds up doing 500 hours of community service, which is obviously a slap on the wrist, if that.
Yeah, that ain't shit.
Michael gets released on parole after only doing 3 years, so that had to piss some people off as well.
I heard somewhere that he kind of got the author of the book, like, he kind of lost his mind this bit of time he was.
He did, yeah. He had a hard time dealing with it. What do you think about the way the brothers were punished, guys? What do you
I already said, dude. I think that's just. I've never heard of anything like that before. Ever.
No.
You're both guilty, but only one of you has to go to prison. Oh, and guess what? You guys get to fight it out.
Right.
Fucking pick who goes to prison.
That's so
fucking weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's baffling to me.
It is strange. Rhode Island with some strange
I guess. This is the first time we've been there, I think so.
I think so, too. The fire inspector was the one that I think should have done the most fucking time. He got nothing because of that law, which is bullshit. He should have tested that foam.
He should have
not
kept his
passed
job,
them.
too, I bet, didn't he?
What's that?
Did he have to lose his job?
I'm not sure about that. I
didn't see anything about that.
But out of everybody fucking... to point fingers at, he's the one that should have had the most knowledge.
Exactly. He's a fire
100%.
inspector. That's what he does. The others were, trying to run a bar. They didn't know much about the bar business. Obviously, this happened, but there's a lot of people to blame here. But to me, that fire inspector's right at the center of it. I think the brothers and the road manager should have been punished with more time than they got. I think Jack Russell should have had to bear some part in this. I don't know what. I'm not an attorney, but, it seems like he, as the guy in charge, he would have been the one to tell or direct that guy to light those fucking things off as part of the show. And there's no way that it's not like the guy was doing it on his own. I mean, you're doing it for the band. Right. So you're an employee of the band, and the band is run by Jack Russell. So I don't understand how he did in some way get involved with this.
Now,
I get what you're saying.
You've got these other situations like the rap concert earlier this year where the people...
the fucking...
And you see that stuff, and, as I was looking into this, I was also got brought, reminded of was it Cleveland? No, Cincinnati. When the Who played, and those people got crushed to death at the Who.
Sure.
But that was fucking crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember it, but
what they did is they fucking said that there was going to be general admission for the show, fest seating, which is they don't do that anymore. Right. But they were like, show up by fucking 3:00. You know what I'm saying? You can get in for the show. Yada yada. All these people fucking showed up. They never ended up fucking opening the doors. It was like 7:00. And they wanted to they weren't ready for it inside. So they were trying to get shit ready in the arena. These people were like pushing up against the doors, like ready to get in this motherfucker. And they fucking wanted one last sound check for the Who. And they said that what they think happened is once they got in the sound check, somebody heard that. And they were like, they're fucking playing inside.
Oh, wow.
And they ended up busting the doors down. I mean, they fucking just trampled these people. But I think there was 11 people that died there. But what's fucking crazy is that concert still went on.
That is crazy.
The Who played that show that night because they thought that 14,000 people would flip the fuck out and riot even harder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay.
But you have 11 casualties. There were fucking pictures of just shoes and clothes that just got ripped off people. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And, you got something like this where Great White, canceled the tour. How much more can you do as a band
to fucking show like
it's like maybe come out and straight up say what you want to say, but you're being you got your wrist tied because of fucking legal situations,
right?
But no, it blew my mind because then you have something like the Who like they were never held responsible for that.
True.
It was all on. It was and this is like I think 79 this happened, but this was the venue.
Right.
People were looking at them talking shit. The venue is looking at everybody else like, guess what? Outside the doors is the city's property. Oh. They should have been taking care of that. And this story, I know I'm off on a tangent, but that story is crazy too because all the cops that were there were like, oh, that's a bunch of drugged out hippie motherfuckers.
Right.
We ain't going to help them. And they wouldn't even help nobody fucking get in and out of there.
Wow.
So that was a crazy situation. But yeah, you have a lot of finger point. But I'm just trying to say the Who in that situation went on and played.
Right.
And they weren't fucking like blamed for it.
Right.
So to look at Great White, it's like, yeah, your pyrotechnics did this. There's a lot of places to point blame. So it's some people are just looking at, it should have been this dude.
Right. And I know that we said this early on, but for sure no one did this like intentionally. I mean, this was a horrible fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody involved feels like absolute shit. I couldn't imagine it. But obviously, nobody did any of this stuff with any sort of malice or intent because, it's just terrible. 2008, there was a $180 million settlement for the victims.
Yeah, but the lawyers took.
Yeah, they get their third, which is shitty.
And then you got like fucking J.G. Wentworth and shit coming in on motherfuckers like
right.
him.
I want my money now. Right. So they're getting like pennies on the dollar, and they're getting completely fucked over by those companies that buy up those lawsuit settlements and then give you the money now. But, these are blue-collar people. They were struggling. A lot of them were out of work. I mean, with injuries and medical bills. And, there's not this big support group because these people are, metalheads or rock
like
fans. And they're looked at, like you said, Joey, like kind of, who gives a fuck about them? So there wasn't this huge outpouring beyond the area. Of course, Rhode Island was very supportive. But I'm saying, like, on a grand scale, you're not seeing people like they do for, 9/11 and some of these other events that have happened, which obviously 9/11 was horrible, but still, 100 people dying. That's fucked up. Now, Chris, Jack Russell's touring company, I saw, paid out $1 million to them, but that was the maximum on his policy. So
everybody injured and everybody having to take care of their deceased loved ones' costs and everything. That wasn't enough for all the fucking hospital bills and everything that everybody had. No. They could have done more than that, but being Great White where they were and shit, probably didn't have that much to pay out.
Yeah, and that was the max their policy was going to pay. So
right.
Joey, I saw the club owners paid $800,000, and the city and the state of Rhode Island paid $10 million. So
yeah,
everybody was kind of getting in on this deal,
And let me tell you. Like I said, I watched something that was from a fucking authors expo. And I can't remember the fucking guys now who did, but I think he was a lawyer involved in this. And he might have did the book Killer Show. I think that was his book about this. But anyway, he broke it down. Like, he did this really good fucking presentation. He broke it down. He was like, look, like you said, the fucking touring company paid out $1 million. I think the fucking club, like you said, $800,000. But there was a much bigger lawsuit because there's hundreds of people fucking dead. In a place like Rhode Island, anybody knows somebody that was probably involved in that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how small it was.
Right.
So there was a lot of people affected. So the lawyer was talking about this is how they fucking broke in to get the money for all these lawsuits and shit. Because, obviously $1 million and $800,000 isn't going to pay all them fucking nothing.
No.
They attacked them. The lawyers attacked those guys, obviously. They attacked the guy who fucking sold them
the foam,
the polyurethane, who lived next door.
Right.
He couldn't be at fault, but his company was.
Right.
Because he was their liability.
Right. That's Sealed Air Corporation.
Yep.
They paid out $25 million.
They paid out.
Right.
The fucking fire department, they went after them because of the fucking inspections. The city paid out on that.
Okay.
As part of the fire department. The tour manager, as we said.
Right.
Both companies that sold the polyurethane foam and the PE foam, they fucking sued both of them because they were selling a product that there's some kind of fucking law or whatever. You can't sell something that can knowingly turn into a hazardous material.
Okay.
Which that's what could happen with those,
right.
As what did happen.
Right.
Two other people that they went after and they also sued. One was the cameraman who took that whole video.
Yeah, the station he worked for.
The station, and it was the same thing.
Because he was there and he didn't help anybody.
And that was the liability. And also it showed there were people that said, look, when I was trying to get out, I was fucking deterred because I couldn't get around the dude with the big ass camera on his shoulder.
Right.
And it's fucking crazy. The fucking, this guy who I was talking about that's doing the presentation, he shows it. He breaks it down. He shows the guy's fucking video. Butler, I think was the dude's name.
Okay.
But they show his fucking video inside there. They show a girl that's coming up in front of him at one point, that's pretty close to where he's at. He fucking shifts over, shows her again, still can't get around him. Then whenever he gets out of the club, and then he goes around the back, sees the fire, right? And then runs back up to the front where they see the bodies piled on each other.
At the door.
She's one of the bodies right there in the door.
Oh, my God.
So whenever they got her out and she testified about all this, she was like, look, I was right there and couldn't get around him then, and that fucking, I lost time because of that.
Oh my
Imagine
God.
all the people behind me that lost time because of this fucking guy.
Right.
So his company, because he's their liability, he got in trouble. And then the last one that they went after was fucking Anheuser-Busch, the beer companies. And you're like, how the fuck do you go after the beer companies in this situation? It's because they were the ones that sponsored the
fucking
thing.
Goddamn event.
It was on the big signs outside. It's Budweiser presents Great White.
Wow.
And fucking so the whatever local fucking Anheuser-Busch fucking plant that worked directly with them, and they were all part of the radio promotion.
Right.
They paid out, and their parent company Anheuser-Busch also paid out.
Wow.
So all these other millions of dollars, that's how this company fucking got all that.
That's fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, we've been talking about this cameraman. He was there to shoot a video, Chris, on club safety.
Local
my
club
God.
safety, dude. Like, how fucking crazy is that?
How ironic is that?
Yeah, it's fucking ironic as fuck. That's why you're there, because they were going to put a special on the news or whatever.
And I think it was the brother, Jeffrey, that was the news reporter. I think it was his station that brought the cameraman to the venue.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this will be
Which makes sense. I mean, he works there too, you know what I mean?
But yeah, that's...
So, wow.
Bad night to do a video on camera on fucking club safety. Terrible night.
Yeah, exactly. Great White said they would probably never play Desert Moon again, but they wound up doing it in 2007. So apparently,
the fans still wanted to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking, they'll probably never stop until they're dead.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack Russell, a lot of people were pissed at him. I think part of it was just, like we said, the legal part of this, that you can't, admit fault. I get it. It's just it's shitty because it comes off as you don't give a fuck. And even some of the benefits he tried to do, they refused to take his money.
They're like, we don't want that fucking money.
Which I kind of think is fucked up. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I know. I know. They were going to donate it to the cause, and they were like, fuck you.
In that situation, I mean, this ain't my band. I mean, I was never, I wasn't in Great White, but I would think if I was part of that situation and I was somewhere where that fucking occurred, I would, that's the end of the band right there.
Right. Band's over.
Right. Like, you could do something else musically.
Right.
But this band's done.
But I think that's part of it that rubbed people the wrong way is you still went out a year later,
I think they stayed away from the Northeast, though.
Yeah.
Because they knew people were fucking mad at them. I did see that a memorial was built on the land because the owner, Ray Villanova, he donated it to the cause. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's badass. It's pretty sweet fucking memorial too.
Yeah,
pretty the fucking stuff. Like the name placards look like fucking monitors.
Oh yeah, I did see that. They look like stage monitors.
Yeah, and like if you look at it from the aerial view, it's shaped like kind of the way you go around is shaped like a guitar. And
yes.
Shit. So it's pretty fucking.
It is really cool. So, anything to add to this one, guys?
Fuck no, dude.
I think we did a good job with it. It's definitely a sad topic, and 100 deaths is certainly, a horrible event. Certainly fits into the true crime, as well as a little bit, definitely on the fringes of metal. No pun intended, with them being a glam band.
And it is mayhem too.
It's a lot of mayhem. Yeah. Lots of it.
There's so much you could. I mean, there's not so much, but there's a lot of insightful things that you can go watch for yourselves about this. You can see the video inside.
It's an hour some long video.
Yeah, the victims afterwards. You can see lawyers. Like, there's a lot of aspects to this that came out fucking publicly.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting.
I thought it was fucked up as some of them were coming out all burned. They were throwing them into snowbanks to put the fire out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fucked up.
I saw a couple of the fucking survivors or whatever, whenever they were telling their stories, like more than one. That's why it struck me as crazy, but how they were inside the place. And I don't know if maybe it's just because you're inhaling the smoke and you're not thinking about a couple of the ones that got out, but how all of a sudden everything was just quiet in there. You could hear the crackle of the wood.
And you could hear the fucking alarm going off.
And the alarm. And that was all you could hear. Like, it was actually caught. And then, like, the one girl who fucking, found her way through the window, once she got outside, it was fucking pure pandemonium and chaos. But inside, it was almost more peaceful. And
that's weird.
She had her fucking arms were fucking fucked up. But it was crazy because she said she got outside, fucking noticed the extent of her wounds and started trying to put her fucking skin on.
Yeah.
I mean, she fucking completely lost her shit. But she said while she was in there, she never felt anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was the one guy that was like partially out the front door because the doors were double doors, but one side was locked.
Right.
And then somebody broke through it, so they were able to open them both up. But there were so many people piled up. One guy was talking about, like, his head was out the door, but he couldn't move.
Yeah.
And the roof was melting, and that tar was dripping on his head, in his hair.
Oh, the roof tar. Yeah.
I mean, that's fucked up.
And there was the one dude, like, he was stuck.
He had his girlfriend or his wife, like, next to him. And he knew if he let her go,
she was going to be gone.
She was going to be gone. So, yeah, he held on. He's like, I didn't want my kids to grow up without their mother. I mean, that's That's fucked up shit. And they both got out of there. So
there was the one dude that at the door, like underneath the pile of
right.
people.
His uncle was outside.
His uncle or whatever trying to pull him out. He pulled him a bunch of times. He's like, dude, I gotta one more time is all I can do, and I gotta get out of here.
Right.
He got him out, but that's fucking
yeah.
Like when you're in that fucking situation, like, dude, I can't stay here.
Yeah, he pulled him out of his shoes, he said. Yeah.
You know, and something else.
And this is in February in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Right.
Shit. There's snow all over the fucking place, dude.
And they fucking, I mean, you know, speaking about this is Rhode Island, it's a small area.
Right.
So this is a huge casualty to have happened from here. So they had a lot of trouble finding people, you know, finding places to bring the people. And there were a lot of fucking places that stepped up. And one of the biggest ones I saw was the Shriners.
Yeah,
they had a huge children's hospital there.
Yeah.
And they allowed so many of the people to come there, you know. And I mean, they were taking people, you know, like you saw, all the way to Boston and everything else, because some of the worst cases they had to bring them.
Yeah, it's a pretty small area, you know, not a big city or anything.
Right.
Now, you know, like we said, nobody in this case wanted any of this to happen. And whether you think it was an accident or criminal negligence or kind of a mix, that's, you know, obviously up to individuals, you know, interpretations here. I found out, though, the worst single building fire in U.S. history was in 1903 in Chicago. Go figure.
Fucking, of course.
At the Iroquois Theater, where an astounding 602 people died.
Did we do that one, or did I just talk about it?
No, but I think you mentioned it.
Because it was in that one book I was reading, The Haunted Illinois.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But I was trying to think of that, if we had done that one or not.
Yeah, no, we have not.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It would be a good one. The Station Nightclub Fire was definitely unique in that the video was going on, and as I said, they use it nowadays to train fire departments, fire investigators, and shit like that, which, you know, you think in some way it's saving lives by training people on what to look for and what to do, and I think there's a lot to be learned from this one, but unfortunately 100 people had to die and 230 have to live with lifelong, you know, memories and in some cases physical problems because of it. So like that's fucked up.
Bad physical problems.
Yeah, big time. I used a few sources for this. There was quite a bit of stuff on YouTube. The podcast I listened to that interviewed the author of Trial by Fire was good. I actually bought the book, but I haven't read it yet, Trial by Fire. It's by Scott James, and he was interviewed on one podcast, and I thought it was really
Murder
good.
Most Foul, I listened to.
Yeah, The Murder Most Foul. So if you're interested in that, you could find that web or the podcast Murder Most Foul, and the episode is called Trial by Fire. So worth a listen if this interests you at all. The book has a lot of pictures, and one of the pictures shows the stage right after the fire went off, and you could see the tour manager, a security guy, and I can't remember who the other person is, but they're like literally like right when it's happening, right on the stage.
Right.
It's pretty fucked up. So that's it on the special bonus episode. So we hope you guys liked it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you could check us out at murdermetalmayhem.com to listen to the past episodes. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And you know they got to subscribe to that YouTube channel.
We're going to add more content.
We got some good stuff.
Yeah,
we got a new webcam we're going to try out tonight when we're doing some fake commercials. That should be fun. So you guys will get to see that, but you got to subscribe to that YouTube channel to do it. All this stuff is in the episode description, so just click away. I thought, you know, since this was an episode about Great White and this fucked up fire, that we should play Desert Moon as we fade out.
Fucking right, dude. Let's do
so
that.
Until next time, keep one foot in the gutter.
And keep pyrotechnics out of small-ass fucking venues.
Yeah!
Fuck yeah. Sick Ripper!
Mother. Man.